Khan here for Seconds Out. It's a pleasure to be joined by living greatness, Katie Taylor, the humble as ever, but I'm going to give you the title, well-earned Katie Taylor. I was going to start with the boxing, but I just witnessed a really cool moment, I thought. There was a young lad who was probably a little bit nervous, like I was, probably did a greater interview than I could have done at that age anyway, who did an interview with you, listened to it, was a great interview. And I thought, he's not there unless for a large part to do. I know you'll be humble and say, look, a lot of fighters will have paved the way too, but he's not there unless you've done what you've done. Do you must take those moments with a sense of pride and humbleness too, but a sense of pride that you've helped to create those moments?
I guess so. I mean, it's amazing, and it takes a lot of courage to do what he is, at such a young age as well. So apparently he took the day off school to do this, so it's amazing. I love that even in itself, the passion that he has for this job. So it's pretty cool, and such a lovely young kid as well, a gentleman. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna go very far in life just because of that.
I'm sure he'll go back to school telling he's interviewed the great Katie Taylor, of course, too. Okay, coming back to the boxing, let's reflect on your first fight with Chantelle Cameron. I just wondered, look, the homecoming fight, 3 Arena, the atmosphere was something I hadn't witnessed in any of the atmospheres that I've sampled in boxing. Was there a little bit of nerves coming into the fight at all from your part?
I think there's always a bit of nerves going into every single fight. There's always pressure in every single fight. I can't say that I felt anything more or less in that fight, but the atmosphere was very, very special, that's for sure. And I was getting goosebumps just listening to the crowd. It was absolutely incredible, and we have a chance to do this again in a few months' time, which is amazing. But every fight's a huge fight. Every fight is a must-win fight. So there are going to be nerves and pressure in every single fight.
Now, when a fighter has their first defeat like that, they obviously assess where they go from. And I think a lot of people kind of question whether maybe you might retire. Now, I spoke to Eddie Hearn and asked him that, and he said, look, a writer asked Katie that, and she wasn't too happy about that. But was that completely off the table? That's what you just wanted to go straight in for the rematch?
Yeah, I just wanted to go straight into the rematch. I don't think that would have been a terrible way to bow out with a loss. So I have a chance to rectify things, and I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity. Like I was saying before, and that every fighter has this opportunity of rematch, and I'm certainly feeling very blessed and privileged that I have a chance to make things right in a few months' time, and I obviously have another chance to fight at home as well. This is very, very special.
We get to obviously see your personality in front of the camera. What we don't get to see is, the stuff when the cameras go off, when, behind the scenes, behind the cameras. I know that your faith is very important to you. How much did that help you kind of get through the moments and get through the defeat and come back and take the fight?
Obviously, God is still God in the mountaintop moments and the valley moments. So, just because I'm proclaiming how great Jesus is doesn't mean that life is going to be easy all the time. I have suffered disappointments and failures in my life, but I don't know how people get through those moments without God in their life. I cling on to Him during these times, and like I said in the press conference, that resurrection is built into my mindset, and it's in my DNA, and I believe that it's always possible to come back even stronger from these losses.
I ask you, is there a particular verse or anything or chapter that that gives you motivation or anything that you take with you into the boxing ring?
I always wear Psalm 18 on my boxing gear. That's known as my Psalm, I think, now, because this is a Psalm that I read before every single one of my fights, and it's a pretty long Psalm, but it says, "It is God who arms me with strength. He makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He trains my hands for battle. My arms can bend a bow of bronze. You give me your shield of victory, and your right hand sustains me, and you stoop down to make me great." And I just love that. That just resonates. The first time I read that was when I was 17 years of age, before one of my fights, and as I was reading it, the tears were just rolling down my face, and it's still as powerful today as when I first read it. And the fact that God can actually stoop down to make you great, and that just really resonated with me at the time.
You genuinely sent a shiver down my spine with those words. So hopefully that resonates with the people who've listened to that too. Just getting to the fight aspect of this, look, how do you feel you have to change up your approach, if at all, to get the victory over Chantelle Cameron this time round in the rematch?
Yeah, I definitely have to change a few things. You can't do the same thing twice and expect different results. So I definitely know I have to make a few adjustments. And um, I think just looking back in the fight, I think I just left the early rounds a bit too subjective, and I think I was definitely sharper and stronger in all of the exchanges. But I don't think I just didn't let my hands go as much in the early rounds, and that cost me the fight.
A couple of final things from myself. Look, I know it probably sounds a bit of a silly question, but was she the hardest opponent you've had, given the fights that you've had and the performances you've had? Was she particularly hard to fight?
I mean, I guess I have to say that because I lost against her. It was my first loss, so every fighter has its own challenges. So when you're fighting at an elite level, every fight's a tough fight. The Chantelle Cameron fight was obviously a tough fight, but I don't think there are any surprises about what Chantelle brought to the table. She brought her work rate. I just got outworked, I think, in the fight, and that's obviously what caused me the fight.
Respect to yourself in your focus on Chantelle Cameron. I just wonder if Amanda Serrano still figures in your plans in that fight, because that was a blockbuster fight as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very ready and willing to step into the ring with any one of those people. I think you only have to look at my career and who I fought to know that my goal was always be involved in the biggest fights in female boxing, and so I'm happy to step into the ring with any of those girls. I just want to be involved in these big fight nights. That's what makes iconic fighters. That's what made Hagler, Leonard, Hearns, Duran, those kind of fighters so iconic. We're still talking about those guys today, and that's the type of fighter that I want to be.
We're talking about you for generations to come to, Kate. A real pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for being Seconds Out. All the best, November 25th.